Hi everybody, I've got some newly acquired stored data here that I need to summarize in a special way. What we have here are a number of different customers. As you can see here, we've got their customer ID, we've got the actual customer, we've got the SKU that they purchased, the description of that SKU, and then also how many they ordered, whether they came in boxes or packages or what have you. That's how many they purchased. This was the cost that they purchased at, and this was the extended price. So basically 7 times 744. So what we want to do is come up with a summary that pretty much kind of looks like this. I've actually got it done here, and we're going to actually put it together, but I want to show you the done version. This is what we're going to have put together. What we're going to see here is we're going to have the SKU number. So we've got each unique product here. We have their description. So it's basically the information that we've got from column C and column D. And what we want to do is next to each of these unique products, we want to show their cost, and that's pretty much what you see over here. Okay. So these, each of these products were purchased many times by different customers. You have to understand that we've got well, in this case we have, I'll go down here all the way here, over 7,000 transactions here. So we've got quite a bit to have to summarize here. But we want to know, in essence, what that product cost. All right. How many stores, so how many customers purchased this, all right? And then a total of between the 5 stores, how much did they purchase? So we're going to take, find, each of the customers here, see how many they ordered, for that particular product, add up those numbers, and that's what we're going to see here. So in essence, what this is showing so far is that on this particular product, 5 different stores purchased it. Total amount purchased between all 5 stores was 120. And if we take that 120 times the cost, that's how much the total extendeds were. So that's how much we sold in total drop cloths and paint tray liners and so forth. So some pretty good information, but some tricky summaries. And what I mean by that is that we want to see the total number of stores that purchased that. We only want to see what the cost was of that product. We don't want all of the many times that this product was purchased. We don't want to add up the cost. We just want to know what the cost was, all right? So a little tricky there, but I'll show you how this is all put together. So in any event, though, here's how we're going to do it. So I'm going to go back to the data, and we're going to click anywhere on it, no matter where you're at. We'll go back into Insert, click onto Pivot Table, and wants to know where we want to put the pivot table at. In this case, it's saying that we're going to be putting it on a new worksheet. I think that's probably the best thing to do in this situation. So we'll go ahead and leave that alone. This is what it's going to be summarizing that whole range. As you can see, we've got well over 7,000 rows or records of information there. All right, so then we'll go ahead and hit OK. That takes us to here. Okay, so first thing I want to do is get the SKU number in. If you remember, we look back here, we want to do the SKU description, the cost, and so forth. So what we'll do here then is first of all bring in the SKU number. So we'll find there's the SKU right there. Take that and we'll drag it down into rows, and there we go. So that's going to be similar to what you see in the done version here. There's all the SKUs. All right. Now, next thing we need to bring in is going to be the description. So that's going to be a little bit further down here. Here's the description. Drag that down into the rows, and there it goes. All right. And then what we want to do, well, let's first of all start with this, or continue here. One of the problems that we're going to have here with the way it's laid out right now is that we're getting multiple layers. So when we go now and bring in, let's say, the cost. Okay, so I'll go a bit further down here is the cost, and drag that into here. That's going to give us a third row of information. Now, as you remember from here, the done version here, oh, wrong one there. We've got it here, here, and here, but right now we're getting it as a staircase. Now to fix that, it's pretty easy. Somewhere in the pivot table you click. Then up here we go over to our pivot table area here. Now we're not going to go to the analyze one, we're going to go to the design, so that's what we have there. So on the design tab, we're going to go over here to the report layout. Now right now it doesn't really show it here, but we are using the compact form, so you can actually see here the multiple levels there, right? What we're going to go with instead is going to be the tabular. You can see how they're all going across in the little picture there. So we click onto the tabular, and that fixes that, kind of brings it across, but it also gives us subtotals, and we don't really need to have a subtotal here. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to the subtotals and click on to where it says no or do not, sorry, do not show subtotals. So we click on that, and there we go. All right, and I mean we can go ahead and kind of pull this over a little bit and double click this to get it a little bit wider and so forth. So what you're seeing here is pretty much the beginnings of what we had here as our ultimate one here, all done and all that. Now, I'm going to just do one real quick thing. I'm going to go over here and I'm going to do a right click on column A, hit insert, and just kind of get a little gap there. I forgot to kind of do that, but that way have a little bit of margin over there on the side, makes it easier to see. All right, so the next thing I want to do is figure out how many customers purchased each one of these, right? That would be this number right here. So the number of stores, the number of customers that had purchased, right? So what we can do is we can actually take the actual customer field and drag that into the values area right here. And what it will do is it will, instead of adding up each of the customers, which it can't do because that's all text, it automatically figures it would just count how many of the customers were purchasing each of these. That's pretty cool, all right? You can either do that one, let me just pull that off. You can do that one, or you could actually use the customer number if you wanted to even, all right? You can drag that one down here. Now, if you do that, it'll add up all the customer numbers, because the customer numbers are actually numbers, so it's actually able to add those up. So in order to get around that, we're going to tell it that these are what we want to count, all right? So we can actually either click here and hit value field settings, or we can just go over here and double click this, and then down here change this from a sum to a count. See? Hit OK, and that will then give us the number of stores, and you can see that it does match with what we have here, 5, 18, 6, and 3, and then 5, 18, 6, and 3, so we're good on that one. Now the next thing we want to do is figure out how many were ordered total. So between the 5 stores, how much did they buy total in quantity of each one of these, right? Well, we actually have that field down here called ordered. That was how many they ordered. So we take that and drag that now into here, and that's okay to drag it here because we do want that to be added up. And there we go. So between 5 stores, they purchased 120 of these, 1,000 of these, and so forth. Not bad. And then last but not least, how much was the total dollar revenue generated by selling to those 5 stores that particular product? Well, we can take the total here, drag that down to here, and there it goes. So 5 times 120, and that's what we get there. I'm sorry, not the 5 times 120, sorry about that. The 120 times the 575, and that's what we get here, all right? Now the other thing I added to this was a filter, and I wanted to filter by customer, so I can actually drag the customer down into filter here, and that way I can go down here and I can say, okay, as far as Alfred's Futterkisk, click onto that, hit OK. That would be all of the Alfred Futterkisk orders, and as you can see that it just shows one customer had purchased each of these based on the filter of filtering it down to a specific customer. But basically what it's saying is that Alfred's, for this particular product, purchased 10, all right, at $6.93 each, so $69.30 was the total there. So pretty slick. And then I can go back there again, change it to all right, hit OK, and now it goes back to what we had. Now we can kind of fix this and customize it up a little bit by going maybe over to here and maybe renaming this field just as far as the label goes, maybe a number of stores. Put that in there, right? For this one here, we can put maybe, now because the name of this field is called orders, all right, what we'll do is we'll be kind of clever here and we'll just call it ordered with a apostrophe D, all right? And then for the last one, this could just be the, I don't know, maybe the extended, we can just call it extended revenue or something like that. There we go. Now we can go in there and we can kind of get these things down to the width that they need. We can just kind of double click here and get that down a little bit. For this here, what we can do is we can click onto that column like that. We can line it up on the left, and then we can indent it one. Just kind of bring it out like that. And I think this one is okay. We can maybe make that one centered, but I think that's okay there. This one here, we can then indent this a little bit. Not indent that, let's leave that alone. But from here down, it'll be indented. And we'll just go to here, we'll select all the way down to the bottom like that, and then we'll just kind of indent like that. I don't know, whatever looks good. This one here, same thing. These are all lined up on the right. Pull that in a little bit, go back to here, make that centered. And then on this one here, what we're going to do is we're going to double click that, go to the number format, hit number, 2 decimals, comma, hit OK. And there we go on that. And of course, then that messes all this up. It's kind of, you're like chasing your tail here. We'll do a left line there, and then indent one, there we go. Then if you want to kind of color it up a little bit, what we can do is click onto here, and go to our list here. Maybe this one right here would be good. There we go. And we've already got the row headers and all that. We can do the banded rows there, and that will give us a little bit there. So notice the difference there. Boom, look at that, huh? Major changes there. Okay, so there it is. I think that looks pretty good. So that's a great way of creating a little bit of a summary there. We didn't have to worry about dates or anything like that because this is all transactions within a particular period that we already know about. So we don't have to worry about dates and breaking it down into quarters or years or anything like that. So that's what we have. So I appreciate you watching the video. Hope you enjoyed it and hope you can use it. Take care.